I even have the bed ready.
What?
So when you get home, we can get really dirty.
Gotta go.
Hey! Here you go. With all this compost, we're gonna have the best plants in the neighborhood.
Redeveloping Grand Avenue is part of our efforts to invest in city neighborhoods by providing residents with amenities and programs to help them thrive. I look forward to having children's laughter once again fill these historic halls as we return Grand Avenue to a place of compassion and support for the community.
By providing youth services in Holden Heights and having a venue for community programs. This facility will strengthen the fabric of our neighborhood, teach our children well, and prepare them to lead the way. But most of all, it will give them a sense of pride.
Actually, I'm excited for the community to see the expansion of the Paramore Kids Zone and all the opportunities that Holden Heights now will have here at the center, and then to have the pottery studio and many activities going on. It's quite amazing, and it's well overdue.
As part of the American Cities Climate Challenge, we partnered with OUC and the Science Center to bring the Orlando Tiny Greenhouse today. Visitors have an opportunity to engage in a lot of cool interactive features.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the March 14th meeting of the Orlando City Council. Sorry if I looked a little startled, but I realized we're starting, and today is Commissioner Sheehan's opportunity to do the invocation. Is she around? We're 1 minute early. Okay. Want to check in the back? Mhm. Okay, time out. Going to take a little recess. Happy Pie Day to everyone. It's also National Map Day.
So what happens when you get behind on email? So sorry, y'all.
Okay, let's pretend that didn't happen. So, welcome to the March 14th, 2020 meeting of the Orlando City Council. We're going to begin today's proceedings with the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance, led today by Commissioner Patty Sheehan.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Am I muted? I'm good now? Okay, thank you, Mayor Dyer. And there's just been a lot of hatred from a lot of religious political extremists towards the gay community. And they're folks that have a mouthful of scripture and a heart full of hate. So because of that, I'm going to read secular poems to encourage diversity, inclusion, and decency. So today I'm reading a poem called Not by Aaron Hansen. You are not your age, nor the size of the clothes you wear. You are not a weight or the color of your hair. You are not your name or the dimples in your cheeks. You are all the books you read and all the words you speak. You are your croaky morning voice and the smiles you try to hide. You're the sweetness in your laughter and every tear you've cried. You're the songs you sing so loudly when you know you're all alone. You're the places that you've been to and all the ones that you call home. You're the things that you believe in and the people that you love. You're the photos in your bedroom and the future you dream of. You're made of so much beauty, but it seems that you forgot when you decided that you were defined by all the things you're not. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, let's call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you make a determination of a quorum, please?
Commissioner Gray? Commissioner Ortiz?
Here.
Commissioner Stewart?
Here.
Commissioner Sheehan?
here.
Commissioner Hill?
Here.
Commissioner Burns?
Here.
Mayor Dyer?
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Okay, and Commissioner Hill is attending virtually. Okay, consideration of minutes from the agenda review and city council meetings of February 21st. Motion by Commissioner Stewart. Second by Commissioner Sheehan. All in favor indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, and so the motion carries. Okay, we have awards, presentations, and recognitions today. So we are celebrating the 2021 Mayor's Leadership Award. And I want to call on Alan Palenzuela, our Human Resources Director, to provide an overview of our leadership awards.
Former CAO of General Electric. Before you're a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. The Mayor's Leadership Award was established in 2005 and is designed to recognize employees who have exhibited exemplary leadership by upholding the highest ethics, leading in a collaborative manner, and enhancing and supporting the City of Orlando's mission statement. It is my honor to officially announce the recipients of the 2021 Mayor's Leadership Award: Lynn Banks, Chief Negotiator, Human Resources, and Craig Borkin, Deputy Chief Venues Officer, Venues. Now it's time to celebrate Lynn and Craig, who have demonstrated remarkable examples of leadership and who are so deserving of this recognition. I will first introduce Lynn, followed by Alan, who will introduce Craig. Lynn, I want to make you come up and have everyone acknowledge you. Lynn joined the city in April of 2018 as the Chief Negotiator and Employee Relations Manager. Serving as Chief Negotiator is a challenging role, and it requires tact, strong leadership, and excellent communication skills, which are Lynn's strongest assets. Lynn has successfully completed many projects. Most notable are successfully negotiating 7 collective bargaining agreements representing 9 bargaining units. She has established an excellent working relationship with union leadership as well as with city division managers, directors, and senior leadership team. She has developed a 3-part training program to assist managers and supervisors in handling employee relations, FMLA, and ADA issues. Lynn and her team have just rolled out the training and has been very well received. And she's overseeing the development of an automated system that will track all disciplinary actions. In addition to performing her duties at an exceptional level, Lynn has demonstrated exemplary leadership this past 2 years in managing the city's COVID-19 exposure and quarantine protocols. Even though outside of her scope of work, Lynn graciously took on employee contract tracing. She provided invaluable guidance to directors, managers, and employees on the city's return to work protocols. Lynn and her team were responsible for processing all requests for the various paid sick programs, including the American Rescue Plan, as well as managing the city's emergency paid sick leave programs. Under Lynn's leadership, the labor relations team assumed these additional responsibilities willingly and executed flawlessly. To put it in perspective, they handle over 1,000 inquiries, reviews, and evaluations. Lynn is a motivating leader, a team player, and a problem solver, and so deserving of this recognition. Thank you, Lynn, for your hard work and dedication to the city of Orlando.
We could have another one with the family.
With the family, yeah. That's the family.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Commissioners, audience guests, and guests on the TV and World Wide Web, I guess. It's my pleasure to be here to help recognize another of our winners of the Mayor's Leadership Award for 2021, Craig Borkin, our Deputy Chief Venues Officer. Craig is an outstanding member of our team and a great friend, but he's also a former McNamara Award winner, which is one of the highest awards the city can also give, and he won that a few years ago. He's not only a leader of our division, but he also is a leader of the events, marketing, business, and bookings divisions, as well as Manila Museum, and his team is here behind him. Raise your hands, guys. Thank you. Our team as well. And I'm glad that they're here to help support him and recognize that. Craig will humbly defer recognition to them as I would as well. What a great team we have. They had a busy weekend this weekend, and I'm proud of them coming in today to be here. They probably should have taken today off after Billy Joel this weekend and 2 Magic games and plant cells and other things. And Andre Roux, didn't forget him. I know that Commissioner Gray was there. One of the things about Craig that we talked about working out of scope, and Anna just mentioned about Lynn, and I think that's what's important about this leadership award. It's not just about doing your job. That's what we're supposed to do, and that's what we do every day, and our team does that. But Craig played an instrumental role in getting our city's 18A program updated, along with others, creating a framework that allowed the city of Orlando to get back to safely hosting live events with large crowds. As chair of this citywide effort, his insights and expertise helped us navigate the new pandemic business landscape that has disrupted the normal way of conducting business. Another way he worked out of scope, out of his normal job duties, was when the pandemic first happened. He was a leader in helping with others, and he'll give credit to them as well, but setting up the COVID-19 drive-through testing mobile sites that we set up around the city. A couple of times I needed him to do something for venues, and he would tell me he's working the mobile testing site. And I'd go out there, and he'd be out there standing in line, waving cars through, and very active and engaged, as he's been known to do. He's not a stand behind the scenes, look around and talk to people guy. He's the guy that gets down there, rolls up his sleeves and gets dirty and helps get the process done. He also helped with food drives, PP&E for Advent Health, any of the programs that we did during 2021 outside of the scope of his normal duties. A couple things I would probably say, I've mentioned this a couple times, but he's very passionate about his customers, our citizens. He goes the extra mile for them. He wants them to have the best experience possible. Sometimes that includes speaking a language that only a few understand called Borken speak. Some of us have experienced Borken speak. It's very passionate, and it comes from his heart and his dedication and his desire to make the city of Orlando and Orlando venues the best place to live, work, and play. It is my honor to recognize Craig Borken for this year's co-winner of Mayor's Leadership Award for 2021. Craig.
Get another one with his wife. And the baby. Okay. Lynn and Craig, congratulations, 2 really well-deserved awards. One more hand for them. I'm going to switch over to the mayor's update at this point. So we are in the midst of redistricting. Last council meeting, we appointed our 2020 Redistricting Advisory Board, and they have held their first meeting to start the process of changing the boundary lines of the City of Orlando 6 Commission districts so that they are approximately equal in terms of the number of residents in each of the 6 districts. You can participate in this process by submitting a feedback form, attending an in-person or remote meeting, drawing your own map. You can go over to the Beardall Senior Center today till 8 p.m. for opportunities to learn more, or you can visit orlando.gov/redistricting for meeting schedules and other information. March is Women's History Month, and I'm proud of our community that works together to create opportunities for women to achieve their dreams. I'm proud to serve alongside Commissioner Sheehan and Hill and so many of our female city employees who are making and shaping our city's history. I also want to recognize 2 of our team members who recently received professional accolades. Fiscal Manager Carmen Rasnick was selected to the Orlando Business Journal's 40 Under 40 list. Congratulations. And Rosa, our Chief Deputy Financial Officer, was recognized by Florida CIO as the Chief Information Officer of the Year for the state of Florida. How about that? Okay, I have 2 items on the agenda, and one is EDV 9, which is a building permit fee rebate for certified affordable housing projects, and that'll be a pilot program. But one of our top priorities, we talked about transportation this morning, and the other is affordable housing. And it is our priority to make sure that everybody can enjoy safe, quality housing and afford that housing in Orlando. We've invested over $43 million towards the construction or rehab of 1,700 multifamily units and more than 150 new residents. In this pilot program, we use a portion of our building fund revenues to provide a rebate or reduction in building code-related permit fees for certified affordable housing developments. It's one of the many ways that we're partnering with local businesses, local developers, and the state and federal government to forge partnerships to increase our housing inventory. Also on the agenda is EDV 12 and CRA 4, which is an item to further diversify our economy and accelerate Orlando's reputation as a national epicenter for game design and development. We have a package that supports the relocation of Iron Galaxy Orlando and 90 jobs to downtown Orlando with their headquarters located in Chicago. Iron Galaxy is the second largest privately held video game developer in North America and helps other game developers create their games through their service division. Welcome to Iron Galaxy. And the final thing I have is Mike Carroll in the house. I think he's hiding over there in the corner. Why don't you come on up, Mike? So speaking of employee achievements, Mike has been with the City of Orlando for 36 years. And you may or may not know that Mike and I are both Osceola Cowboys and grew up together in Kissimmee. And he has been our solid waste manager for more than 25 years and is known for his passion for garbage and recycling. And I'm looking forward to giving you your retirement proclamation, not today, but later at a staff celebration. But I understand that your daughters have described you as the head garbage man at the City of Orlando. So your team at Solid Waste, you can thank them for this, has asked me to proclaim you as the honorary head garbage man for the City of Orlando.
Thank you, thank you.
And with that honor comes a key, and a key not to the city, but to the city's dumpsters. So we have that key for you, and if all of the commissioners would come down, let's present this key to Mike.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gray, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to add my 2 cents. Michael, thank you very much. You know, Mike and I have had our go-rounds as Lake Nona and Southeast has grown rapidly. It's been a tough job to get the solid waste picked up. Not only because it's the furthest from HQ, but as the area continues to change rapidly, it's just a tough thing to get folks trained. But to Michael's credit, every time I called with a problem, he always picked up the phone, nights, weekends, and I appreciate that, Mike. And best of luck. Job well done. Thank you, sir.
Man, Commissioner, the other district commissioners personally go take care of the issues in their district, or pick up the trash. Or you not doing that?
What the problem with District 1 is.
Can I say something, man?
Yeah, Commissioner Ortiz.
I wouldn't call him the head. Is this okay? Can you hear me okay? Okay, the head garbage guy. I would call him the head health guy, because of that garbage that he makes sure people that his employees picked up. Our city is one of the healthiest cities you can find. So thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Did you want to say something?
I wasn't on camera back there, just in case.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Okay, how about the consent agenda? You guys up for that?
Let's do it.
All right, the consent agenda is a number of items that are acted upon through a single vote of council. We give each of our commissioners an opportunity to comment on items on the consent agenda and generally update you with important happenings from their districts. We rotate the order that we do that, and today Commissioner Sheehan is first up.
Well, thank you, Mayor Dyer. And I'd like to lead off by saying the Florida legislature is in session and no city is safe. The Don't Say Gay bill took away the ability of teachers to use age-appropriate curriculum to teach acceptance and diversity. Kindness towards others should be a taught virtue. It is the cornerstone of a healthy community, and the LGBTQ community is an important part of our Orlando community. And I stand with my community, and I say gay. Also, the legislature took away our solar net metering. The solar net metering bill took away the incentive for rooftop solar. Legislators are allowing the power companies to refuse to rebate solar customers the fair market value of the power that they produce. A man with a briefcase can steal a whole lot more than a man with a gun. I'm out almost $20,000 as a civil servant who wanted to do the right thing and put solar panels on my roof. It's robbery, it's wrong, and it shouldn't happen in our city or in our state. We have huge problems facing our state with affordable housing. Rather than concentrate on issues that impact Floridians, like allocating the Sadowski funds for affordable housing, it's supposed to fund, the legislature buys sand dunes to protect the rich who own beach properties. We have a regressive legislature that steals from the poor, gives to the rich, stops progressive community action, and stops renewable energy, basically returning us to the dark ages. It's time this stops. And we have to elect people who more represent our values as a community and as a state. And I'm hot, Commissioner Ortiz. You can tell. I told you I was going to go. Commissioner Ortiz and Commissioner Stewart did an amazing job representing our interests at the state level. Unfortunately, they weren't listened to, but I want to thank them for doing what they could. On the agenda today, on item B6 is the Lake Davis Lancaster Drainage Improvement Project. That's going to bring a lot of value to my district. The mayor mentioned the Certified Affordable Housing Projects Program. I think that's a great thing for us to be doing and using our available resources since we have been robbed of Sadowski funds. On item D2, the Advanced Peace Community Violence Intervention Initiative. This is to reduce shootings, prevent incidents of gun violence among program participants. It's a wonderful program. On item I2 on Public Works, the Millennium Bridge, I want to thank the staff for fixing our Orlando sign, and the Millennium Bridge is so nice, they copied it along all the other I-4, bridges. So, we don't stand out as much as we used to, but still, I think imitation sometimes is the sincerest form of flattery. I know Commissioner Burns and I share that area, so, we did a good job, but maybe we need to do something a little extra special to make that stand out now. On the limo operations, on item J7, Lynx has eliminated many of the bus routes in downtown, and we're going to be working with transportation staff to make sure that the buses are circulating by the senior high-rises, because there's a disconnect between the seniors and the ability to access Lynx and limo. So I want to thank Tanya Wilder for working with me on that, but I just want to mention that during J7 limo operations. And that's all I had for today, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sheehan. Commissioner Hill?
Thank you, Mayor, and good afternoon, everyone. Here in Washington, at the NLC, trying to find out some of the best practices and continue advocating for the things that we need there in the city of Orlando. But Mayor Dyer, thank you and this council for your leadership, because as I have been here in Washington and we're talking about equity and inclusion, public safety, homelessness, we're talking about affordable housing, youth programs, mental health. We are leading the way. You know, I'm so proud to be here representing Orlando and District 5. We are leading the nation, Mayor Dyer, under your leadership on these initiatives. You know, as we talk about the ARPA funds and how they can be distributed, how the CARES dollars are being distributed. We are leading the way. I'm almost, I shouldn't be, I'm very proud, but I'm almost afraid to raise my hand and say, we're doing that in Orlando. My mayor and council and city staff, we have started that process. And now I've gotten more work on me because everybody's asking, how are we doing it? So city staff, I apologize that I'm up here in Washington bragging about all the leadership we have there under Mayor Dyer and City Council and your leadership. But people are going to be ringing the phone, and just that I just applaud you guys that we are really what we will call, I would say, that beacon light, and people are looking at what we're doing. And I'm just so proud of the work that we're doing. Sometimes when you're in this space and you're just doing the work, you don't realize that sometimes you're the first and people aren't doing it around the nation because we just do what is needed. And we don't do it because of political agendas. As Commissioner stated, in Tallahassee, there's a gridlock. We don't see party. Sometimes, you know, we see purpose. We see purpose and we see people. And this last few days, I've just been so proud to be a part of the legislation team there in the city of Orlando. So thank you all for being the great leaders, and thank you, Mayor, for being a forward thinker, and your name is so respected here throughout the nation when I say I work with Mayor Dyer. So thank you, sir, for your guidance and leadership. And I also want to just applaud Craig Boykins, which is another great team member of this city, and especially District 5, which sits underneath his purview. You know, Mayor Dyer, I was a little bit shocked when I saw the baby. I didn't know he had enough time to go and make a baby, because he's so busy putting in hundreds and hundreds of hours there at those venues. Anytime that you, night or day, Craig is there. And I often ask him, when does he rest? And I know it's not often, so I applaud him, and especially doing the outreach and everything that he did to save lives in the city of Orlando and giving access and opportunity when it came to COVID, and especially trying to make sure that those folks that worked the venues knew about the different rental and electric opportunities and helping them to find their way while we had to shut down. It means a lot. And I just really thank Craig for his partnership with my office and just being a great team member. And I'm not I don't know Lynn well, but I've heard about her great work. And Lynn, I just want to thank her, how she also led the way during COVID, even with her other responsibilities with contact tracing and FMLA and all the different things that entwine that new day with COVID, something that we had not seen in over a century in their leadership. And I just applaud them. It's well deserved. And I can't say enough about the head garbage man, right? Which I just value Mike Carroll's friendship, first of all, and his leadership. And as Commissioner Gray said, his response, no matter if it's day or night or the weekends, anytime that you call a Mike's phone, he answers. And not do he just answer, he answers with such a kind demeanor. It does not matter what you're going through. When you hear Mike Carroll's voice, it makes you a little bit more humbler and you walk away feeling good because he is solution driven. I really appreciate that. I don't know if many of us know that there was not really an issue, but a concern of one of our females there, a Black female, that just had done some great work there in the waste management division. And Mike saw her value and saw her worth, and he just promoted her to management position after her kind of like mimicking what Mike does, is always responding, no matter what time or day, making sure that our garbage is picked up. And I believe outside of, as Commissioner Ortiz stated, public health, just like public safety, it's almost, residents want to see when they pick up the phone, they want to see the police come when they dial 911, and they want to make sure that their garbage is picked up when it's scheduled. And that's some of the toughest issues, is doing that in a timely manner and satisfying the community. And Mike makes sure he does not go to sleep with those calls being unanswered. So thank you for all of that. I do have an update. I'm going to delay it into my next council meeting, but I also want to thank Chief Rolone and the men and women of the department there in the Paramore area, and those volunteers and the youth of Operation Up for coming out to the Paramore area and helping deserving senior with the beautification project there on the Randall Street corridor, and Walter Hawkins and Thomas Chapman and David Barilla for having our first movie night in Paramore there at Zia Riley Park and the Parks Division for last Saturday. It was a little brisk, but the residents came out, and hopefully we have better weather next time. Hopefully we'll do this annual. And again, just thank you all for allowing me to come, Mayor, here to Washington to represent the city.
Thank you, Commissioner. We will move on to Commissioner Burns.
All right, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to also say congratulations to Lynn and Craig for receiving the Mayor's Leadership Award, and thank them for all they do for our great city. And then to Mike as well, thank you for your dedicated service. This past weekend, I joined our Green Up team at the Wendover Condominium Complex to beautify the clubhouse. So I'd just like to say thank you to Jody Bias and her team for putting together and working with Keep Our City Beautiful. So thank you for her and her team. Also, last week I had the pleasure of having a public safety forum with Chief Rolone. Many residents came out to talk about youth violence, concerns in our neighborhoods. So I just want to thank the chief, as well as my liaison, Captain Gowen and Carl Anderson, for the time they spent with our community and just hearing some of the concerns, but also brainstorming with us for some realistic solutions to those issues. Also, last week I had the pleasure of joining my colleague Commissioner Hill for the grand reopening of Axiom Bank, which, when it was the Washington Shore Savings and Loan right in District 6, was where I opened my first bank account. So it was great to be there. That Washington Shore Savings and Loan was the first Black-owned bank in the state of Florida. It was chartered by Paul C. Perkins, Dr. James R. Smith, and Mr. Charles Hawkins Sr., and a few more. So it was great to see that they have revitalized that building, but also incorporated a lot of the old architecture into the new look of the building. Also, I'd like to thank our transportation team for the work that they've done to about a small but a very important issue of getting a light at Hidden Beach for the Hidden Beach community, a traffic light there. And thank you to Mayor Dyer, also Mayor Demings and the County Commission for approving the interlocal agreement that's going to allow this to move forward. This community has been advocating for a traffic light there for what I understand is more than 20 years. So we want to, I'd like to say thank you to their hard work and continue to push to get this light there. We're almost there. Also, just a couple of things I'd like to mention. There are two things of importance. New research shows that the black population was undercounted during the 2020 census at a rate nearly 3 times as high as the previous census in 2010. But of concern is the black children may have been undercounted in the 2020 census almost 10 times higher than in 2010. So while we can't do anything to rectify this issue now, it shows our importance, our efforts were in 2020 to work around barriers and push as many residents as possible to fill out the census. And undercount may mean fewer economic opportunities for our communities of colors and imbalanced elected representation. So I just like to say I think our city did a good job in getting the word out to the census. I think we just need to, in the next 10 years, push those efforts forward so we can make sure that we get proper allocation of resources, but also representation of all communities. Also, as Commissioner Sheehan mentioned, I want to express my disappointment for House Bill 741, the net metering bill, as well as the Don't Say Gay. And just recognizing some of the voter suppression that seems to be happening at our state level. So again, we just have to continue to push forward, fight for what we think is right, and always try to gain the local control, because I do believe that we can make better decisions for the people that we represent better than the state can. So with that, Mayor, that concludes my statements.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Gray.
Thank you, Mayor. Got a bunch of announcements. It's been a busy couple of weeks in District 1, and then a couple of comments on the agenda. First, congrats to all the award winners. I know it takes a lot of work to keep the city going, and it's good to honor a couple of exemplary employees, so congrats to those folks. On 2/23, I attended the barbecue on the Boulevard hosted by the OEP, Orlando Economic Partnership. For those new residents to the city, if you happen to be listening, it's perhaps one of the best networking events in Orlando, and so next year I would encourage you to put your $35 or $45 on the table. It's a great networking event, good opportunity to see plus or minus 1,000 people, leaders throughout the city. On the 23rd through the 25th of February, Lake Nona and Tavistock hosted their annual Lake Nona Impact Forum. This is an event where they bring folks, not just national but international leaders, to come and share ideas and thoughts on the future of society, quite frankly, whether it's medical or any kind of technology. But you have some real leaders in the industry, and I was thrilled to be part of that. On the 2nd of March, I want to thank the folks at Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center. We were able to host 30 kids from our Citrus Square rec program at the Disney's performance of Frozen, and they were thrilled. Kids that see that animation, to see it in person. And I think that's one of the things when we were talking about doing the Performing Arts Center, to expose kids that are underprivileged to see productions like that. It was really neat. And so I want to thank Kathy and Rachel and Spencer and the whole team at DPAC for making that happen. On the 9th of March, I attended the OPD award ceremony last week with Commissioner Stewart, and I must admit, it just drives home the fact that being a police officer today is not an easy job. It is a tough job, and there's a lot of other requirements than, as they say, when the bell rings, there's a lot of us going one way, and the first responders are going the opposite, which is usually into danger. So congrats to those folks. Coming up on the 15th, which is tomorrow, our annual Crime Prevention Award Ceremony. I will be there. Look forward to seeing some of our block captains and neighborhood leaders. And finally, on the 22nd, we have a community meeting in District 1. Got another new park coming. Excited about that. We're going to work with the community to see what they'd like to see in that park. On the agenda, a couple of things I'd like to talk about. First, C10, which is the pilot program for the infamous Ghost Kitchen. A lot of dug into that, talked to certainly our staff, but also the sponsors. And I guess I would say that there's a lot of misperceptions about what a ghost kitchen is and how it operates. So I would encourage everybody to do a little homework on that. But I'm glad to see that come to the city. And it's a pilot program. It won't be perfect. We'll have to make some adjustments. But I want to say thanks to the sponsors for coming to our city and being willing to try that. And we'll try to make that as successful as we can for all concerned. On C12, and the companion item number 4 of CRA, which is for Iron Galaxy. The mayor's right, good operation, but I got to abstain from that because that's a business relationship that I have with my private firm, so I'll abstain on those two. The last one I want to talk about is J7, which is the limo, along with the companion item of CRA 5. And I got to admit, I'm struggling with this one. Not because I don't think limo is a good concept, but I just don't think we've done a very good job of managing that process. I'm not speaking out of school. I've shared this with the staff. But this is a program that we started in '98 and we expanded in '14. And I think the two primary purposes, as best I can tell, are to allow folks, downtown workers, the ability to have some mobility without jumping in their car and driving to the other end of downtown. And I think the other main concept or goal was to help folks who maybe don't have transportation that need to get to and from work or the supermarket or stores. And so we expanded the limo. I think we did it in 2014. The challenge I have with it is we're proposing to spend somewhere around $2.9 million a year on this for the next 2 years with an option to go 3. And so we're not talking about 10 or 20,000 bucks. We're talking about almost $3 million a year. And the challenge I have, and I've shared it with staff, is other than the number of riders, we have no idea who's riding this bus. We have ideas, we have expectations, but we don't really know who's riding this bus. And it just seems to me that the one thing we do know, in fairness, is we know we had about 450,000 people last year that rode the bus. Recognizing it was COVID, but that's the only number we know. And if you do the math, as I always do, $2.9 million divided by 450,000 people, we're averaging $6.22 a ride. Now, any other place in the city, you can ride the bus for $2. So we're basically subsidizing a free transit route for $6.22 a ride, and we don't know who's riding it. Now, if I'm wrong, somebody please educate me, but the numbers are pretty simple. The other thing that bugs me about it is in our agreement, we're supposed to have received operating expenses and allocations from Lynx. I've asked for them, and I didn't get them. So we're not really sure where they're spending the $2.9 million. Not suggesting it's anything nefarious or malicious or wrong, but golly, if you're spending $3 million of taxpayers' money, you ought to know where it's going. And I don't think we do. And so the problem I'm having is this morning we talked ad nauseum about accountability, and we talked about transparency. And here's a program that is up for support that we know very little about. And so my suggestion, and I'll throw it out to the council, there's 2 items. Certainly we can pass this one if you want on the consent agenda, but we got to fund it through the CRA. But my suggestion to staff was let's do it for 6 months and dig in and find out who's riding the bus. Is it meeting our needs? If it's not, let's fine tune it. Again, I think the concept is a good concept, but you got to figure out where you're spending your money and who's riding the bus. And for the last going on 7, 8 years, we haven't put that program in place, and I'm a little I'm disappointed that we haven't. So I'm going to vote against J7 as well as CRA number 5 and hope that we can shorten that time frame, figure out who our riders are, who our customers are, and that way we can look our taxpayers in the eye and say, look, we know where we're going to spend $2.9 million over the next 3 years. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Commissioner Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me start by congratulating the award winning recipients also. And I'm going to piggyback with Commissioner Gray on item 10, C10, the creation of the Ghost Kitchen pilot program. I'm really excited about this. In talking to the team bringing this particular concept, because they're basically utilizing companies, well-established companies around the United States, and I think is a great way of expanding in those areas where we may not have accessibility. And so I'm looking forward to the outcome of this. I think it's going to be a great companion, especially restaurants. I don't see regular restaurants feeling threatened by this, because our companies that have been around for a while. So I'm really looking forward to this partnership. And then on item B8, which is the construction company for guarantee maximum price for Fire Station 11. I can't wait for that station to be built. So thank you for your efforts, and for all your efforts, our team, our staff, Deborah and your team. I'm trying to think here straight. I'm really looking forward to see this magnificent station and our firefighters back in that particular corner, and the community, I think, is too. So with that being said, let me move to my comments. On Thursday, February 24th, I attended the EKZ Youth Employment Graduation. I don't get tired of mentioning EKZ because we finally have it in the East Side, so thank you, Lisa, and thanks to your team. Congratulations to the group of amazing young individuals who graduated. The EKZ Youth Employment Program gives them the necessary tools and skills to become an asset in the workforce. Be on the lookout for these future professionals. On Friday, February 25th, I attended the Black History Month 2022 Victory Celebration organized by the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Alianza for Progress, and their partners. During this event, we enjoy Bomba y Plena. You all know what that is, right? All right. You have to see it. It's basically a traditional style of music and dance reflecting the African American heritage of Puerto Rico. I also received a replica of the Roberto Clemente road sign from Alianza in honor of the name change completed last summer. I want to extend a big thank you to them for all the hard work and effort they put into this initiative, and feel honored to receive this gift. On Monday, February 28th, my team and I visited with Principal Doug Loftus on Acceleration East High School. AEH is our only high school in District 2, and I'm extremely proud to have this faculty, staff, and students. Principal Loftus gave us a tour of the school, which included a tour at their agricultural program. They are currently housing, here we go, ducks, chickens, turkeys, rabbits, and have the garden full of fruits and vegetables. It's always a pleasure to remember how it used to be back home. Visiting, I'm happy to see how they continue taking education to the next level. March 1st, our first session of Government Academy took place. I'm excited to see what's in store this new few weeks as we journey with a new group of students into the world of government. Saturday, March 5th, I attended the Azalea Park Little League's 62nd opening date ceremony. That's how old that league is. How old is yours?
69.
69. Okay.
You're welcome.
All right, you're welcome. Azalea Park Little League has provided our youth with the opportunity to come together in a healthy, safe environment to learn the values of team sports and the fundamentals of baseball. Congratulations to Earl Lugo, to Z, and the Azalea Park Little League Board of Directors for overseeing a great turnout for this year's season. Lisa, hopefully we'll be giving them a surprise soon, right? On Saturday, March 12th, I had the opportunity to be a judge for the American Legion Oratorical Contest. The contestants who participated are high school students from the region, and the subject of the contest was the Constitution of the United States as it pertains to the attendant duties and obligations of citizens. I enjoyed my time as a judge and look forward to joining again next year. That's really good civics they're practicing over there, teaching them a lot about our Constitution. We need more of that. As it was mentioned in the City of Orlando Employee News, for the first time in Orlando, in the fire department history, we had a father and a daughter duo fighting crime together. Lieutenant, and correct me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, Surratt of District 3, your district, and his daughter, firefighter Mackenzie Surratt Bob of District 2. You see, the next generation always go to the better districts.
Nice try.
Helped extinguish a fire at the Crossroads Apartments last week. Thank you so much, Lieutenant and Firefighter Surratt Bob, for your service to our city. I think that's, well, no, I have something else. Along with what Commissioner Sheehan was saying, I have a comment. As long as we, as state residents, don't get involved in state and federal legislations, the state and the federal level government will continue passing laws undermining the will of the people. We need to get involved. We definitely need to pass a word. We need to talk to people, get involved in civics, because of they're not consulting with us. They're not consulting with local elected officials or with the people, which would be ideal. And I don't know how they do it. I don't know whose leadership they're following, but it's sure is in the citizens of the United States and the residents of the United States. So let's get involved. Let's change the way of government. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ortiz, and we'll move to Commissioner Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor. Am I okay? Let me share a couple quick things. First, congratulations to Craig and Lynn. I appreciate their service when we began to look at what was going on during the pandemic, especially in the height of it. Those two were leaders among the entire group, among the staff as well as among the public. So I appreciate them. Let me give a special congratulations to my aide, Maria Montano. This past Saturday, she got married to Ryan Statton, and they began their lives as District 1 residents. So I'm gonna try and get them to move to District 3. But apparently you've got two new voters down there. I want to say thank you to all those who worked hard this past weekend at the Lou Gardens annual plant sale. There were thousands and thousands of people. Had terrible weather on Saturday morning, and then it came through in the afternoon, and then Sunday was just wonderful. I want to say special thanks to Robert Bowden and all the people that were there. It was really a neat, it's coming back, and we'll kind of see that's, it was great. I had an opportunity to buy a couple things and then just to promote it a little bit. I want to say thank you to Mayor Dimmons for the presentation this morning. I appreciate that and look forward to working with him to make sure that we all get our fair share in the work that needs to be done in terms of transportation. Special congratulations to Mike Carroll. Mayor, thanks for doing that. And also to John Perrone from our Parks Division, who has put in his retirement papers. And I will tell you that if you talk to those who in our community, I think Tony said it well about Mike, and also the same thing about John. We have a core of wonderful staff members throughout the entire city, and everyone is special in their own way. But there are a few people that we know that have an incredible impact on the quality of life in our city, and Mike Carroll is one of those, and John Perrone is another, based upon what we've done in our Parks Department. So I appreciate both of them a great deal. Legislature votes today for the state budget, and the session comes to an end formally, thank goodness. Thank you, Commissioner Ortiz, for your leadership, and thank you for championing the benefits of our city and our citizens. I appreciate that. I want to kind of just go a little bit off script and just kind of share this short story. Today we're going to take $20,000 and use it for helping out Dueling Dragons coming out of the Law Enforcement Trust Fund. There'll be some other things that are there. The Dueling Dragons is a very important part of what we do there. And I'm very grateful that we have a chance to house most of that in my district and support District 5 and District 6 and District 3 together. But let me just kind of say it in a different way. If we decide to take that $20,000 and put it against our general budget, we would all go to jail. Because you can't do that with trust funds unless you're a state legislature who can take a trust fund out of the Sadowski Trust Fund and use it to supplement general revenue. And I find it criminal to do that. And they have done that faithfully for the last 10 years. So I am honored that we get a chance to use the trust funds properly, and would encourage our state legislators to do the same. Next Saturday is March 26th, is the Ivanhoe Villages Sip into Spring. Y'all come get a chance to enjoy that. On April 12th, College Park Neighborhood Association is having our, the Neighborhood Center will be hosting our District 3 redistricting meeting, so please get a chance to come there and look at and give us your input as far as that's concerned, and give the committee the input. Jim, also along with what you said about the promotions ceremony at OPD, I will tell you, every time I go, I am so inspired by the people there, and I go to also the same with the Orlando Fire Department. We have such wonderful public servants. And then we also recognize those who are just citizens who just go beyond the call of duty. And I think that's just a wonderful way. It inspires me to tell people how wonderful our staff is. We're approving today additional $23,000 for the LAP agreement for the Edgewater Drive design work. We approved $1 million a couple of weeks ago. We got a report back that it was going to cost a little bit more, so we're approving that money coming from FDOT. Appreciate that. And then my last comment is about the ghost kitchens. I appreciate the work that our staff has done on the ghost kitchens, and appreciate the work that our vendors have done coming through. It is a pilot program. I'm excited about it coming forward. And I will tell you just kind of the only negative, I've shared this publicly and privately, so I don't feel like I'm speaking out of turn, is that when we look at these pilot programs, we ought to have some way to measure our success. And if all we're going to do is move employees from one restaurant to another, we've not really gained a significant impact in our community. So the goal of this, I think, is to really measure how we can kind of raise the tide among everybody. And I think this is a great way to do that. It's an innovative way to do that. It's a good way of taking advantage of a burgeoning industry that came out of the pandemic, essentially. And so I think we have a great opportunity to try that, and I'm excited about doing that. So, and last, congratulations, I think I sent to Craig and to Lynn. Mayor, those are two great examples of people who are so committed to our citizenry, and I appreciate that. And with that, I will recommend the approval of the consent agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Commissioner Hill, I see your hand up, but let's hold debate. I assume your hand went up when
I can wait for the CRA.
on the limo.
Yes, sir.
Why don't we wait till it's going to be item 5 on the
Yes, sir.
CRA agenda, so we can debate it there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, if there's no objection, we're going to recess the city council meeting, and actually we'll let everybody that was here just for the consent agenda slowly make their way out of the room. And we will convene the CRA meeting. Item 1 is the CRA Advisory Board minutes from January 19th. Is there a motion to accept those? Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. 2 is approving the minutes from the CRA meeting of February 7th. Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. 3 is approving minutes of the CRA from February 21st. Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Sheehan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Motion carries. All right, Walter, number 4.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. Item number 4 is approving the high-wage, high-value funding agreement with Iron Galaxy, and I believe you all have been briefed on that. And Iron Galaxy plans to create additional 90 new value jobs over 5 years with over $75,000 per year, with a total capital investment here in Orlando, $3.775 million for a build-out expenses over a 5-year period. So we're requesting approval on this item.
So move.
Or a motion?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries.
And
Number 5.
Number 5 is approving the third amended restated limo operations agreement. This proposed revised third amendment and restated limo agreement has been updated to bring the agreement in line with current route operations. The agreement limits CRA annual funding for limo to $2.3 million, consistent with budgeted amounts. The agreement is for a 2-year term with annual renewals.
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Will incorporate Commissioner Gray's remarks from his council update, and I'll recognize Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm in agreement somewhat with Commissioner Gray that we really need to do a deeper dive into this limo system, the ridership, who's riding, and how we servicing. I do have some major concerns about the limo and what it has evolved into, but I do understand that if we don't have the limo, a whole community of people that has already been disenfranchised due to mobility issues there in the Paramore area that really rely on this free limo will be negatively impacted. So Commissioner Gray, I agree. I know you didn't know that I was coming in this direction probably, but this isn't necessarily a debate. I do agree with Commissioner Gray that we really need to do a comprehensive plan as we move forward with the limo free services in our downtown Paramore corridor. But it is a much needed amenity, Mayor Dyer and Council. But I do think we need to see enhance, and not expand, but enhance what's going on there. I know a lot of our downtowners right now aren't riding due to some of the, for lack of a better word, some of the homeless issues that exist there on the bus site. So I do want the county to better assist us and be a little bit more transparent also. But we do have to figure out how to put the working class back on that bus and not feel overwhelmed getting on it due to some of the conditions that exist there. Even some of the bus drivers are concerned, but we can't do away with this system because it is serving those in the community that are challenged, our seniors, our students, and many of the and many of the residents that lack transportation there in that Paramore corridor. Thank you, Mayor.
I think we need to go ahead and extend this. We need certainty with the operations and to let Lynx know that they have the funding to do this. But I will agree to have Tanya, I'll agree for you, Tanya, work with Lynx to put together a way to evaluate who's riding, how many are riding, what improvements we could make other than going to electric vehicles, and report back to this commission within 6 months. Good, Commissioner Gray.
Well, Mayor, I was going to offer a modification or motion that we, rather than do 2 years plus 1, that we do 6 months. Let's do a 6-month extension. In 6 months, if we're spending $2.8 million on a program, certainly we could spend $50,000 on either an employee and or an outside group that in 6 months can figure out who our ridership is. I agree with Commissioner Hill. We shouldn't suspend it. We've got to keep it going, but we don't have to commit to 3 years. Let's commit to 6 months. Operations continue. We can reevaluate. I'm not suggesting we get rid of it. I'm suggesting we got to figure out a way to figure out A, who's riding, and B, you got to reduce the cost. $6 a ride, even if you say it's COVID, divide by 2, $3 a ride is more. You can ride from downtown to the airport for $2. So you got people in other parts of the city that are paying $2, and people are riding free at a cost to taxpayers of $3+. We got to fine tune this program. And again, we've had this on the books since 2014. We've had plenty of time to do it. So I would like to propose a motion that we fund the next 6 months and follow through, Commissioner or Mayor, with what you said as it relates to coming up with a system to evaluate the program, and then we'll readdress it.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Motion to deny.
That would actually be proposed as an amendment to the main motion, so there's a proposed amendment to the agreement. I just know going in with any of the agencies, it's really difficult to tell an agency you got half a year's worth of funding and no guarantee that it's going to be funded after that. I feel a lot more comfortable just agreeing that we will bring more information back and having a steady course for 2 years. So I'm against the motion, but we can
Mayor, I have a
certainly vote on
question
it.
before, if I may.
What's that?
I have a question before
Okay.
we move forward. It was, those stats that we got, were they for an average for the 14 years, or were that recent years?
No, I simply asked staff, tell me about who's riding the program, riding the buses, because again, as we all, I think, kind of generally understand, it's a combination of business people, it's folks without transportation, and unfortunately, a lot of the homeless ride it. I've ridden the bus many times. I know who rides it, but I just don't know specifics. So, Tony, when I asked for details, the only detail I got was a single number, which was $450,000 for last year.
Okay, well, the reason I ask is because last year we had COVID. There was a bunch of people
Right.
not riding, so that may be a factor. So,
I
we
totally
want-
agree, but I'm
yeah, so-
thinking even if you round it off, even divide by 2 and say there's 900,000 riders, you're still over $3 a ride, and you don't have any idea if this program is meeting the goal. The goal's a good goal. We just don't know if we're meeting that goal, and we've had plenty of time to figure it out. So that's where it was. So,
Commissioner Burns.
Well, Mayor, I'm in support of what you're saying. I'm not really comfortable giving an agency 6 months and them having to figure it out with no long-term plan. I think we need to move forward with this 2 years, possibly come back in 6 months and just improve the plan. It's a great amenity to this community and our downtown core. And as we're talking about building up that community and creative village there, we really need this amenity. We need this system in place. We just need to improve it. We need to, I agree with Commissioner Gray, we need to look at the numbers, but giving them a short-term plan and short-term funding, it's not something I'm comfortable with going back to links and speaking. We have a great partnership and relationship, and we need a little bit more transparency and accountability. And I think we can reach that with them. But I'm not comfortable giving them a 6-month extension versus a 2-year extension. None of us can really have accurate numbers. We're just coming out of COVID to a degree in 6 months. We're going to need at least a year. I agree coming back in 6 months with more information, but we need at least a year or so to really get accurate or true numbers and give them an opportunity. Also, it's not fair for us not to even give them an opportunity for improvements or coming forth with information. I believe that 450,000 are numbers during COVID, and it's just not fair or right for us to judge them on those numbers.
Mayor, if I could say one more thing, and I promise I'll shut up.
I never.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner, you're right. Remember the part that frustrated me. This program, where we expanded it to include lime and grapefruit, happened in 2014, pre-COVID. So you're telling me Links and I guess it's Link's obligation to do this. We have an operating committee or a steering committee as part of the agreement. I haven't heard from them. But we've had plenty of time, as has Link's, to do this. The reality is nobody's raised their hand and said, where's this $2.8 million going until right now? So it seems to me we keep the funding going, but we do it on a much shorter time frame so we can figure out what are the taxpayers getting for their money. Pretty simple. Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner Burns.
Yes, Mayor. One question. The agreement that we're looking at, does it lend itself for an early termination, say, following a year, or does it commit us to this completing the 2 years?
It's a 2-year contract. I assume we could terminate for cause for some reason, but it doesn't contemplate us just being able to say, hey, we don't want to do it anymore.
Have to have a cause. Okay.
Mayor, I never finished my
Commissioner Ortiz.
my comment. Everybody kept on jumping. Transportation historically has been one where government always ends up paying because it's never sustainable. It's historically the Sunrail. We're seeing it in any public transportation method we use. It's just the nature of the beast. But it does accommodate people to get from one point to the other. Sometimes we have rises, sometimes we have lows. I do agree with Commissioner Gray. I think a study would be good. Pilot program would be good. But at the end, on the other side, as Commissioner Hill is saying, we have to have some sort of program pending in order for us to continue, because otherwise we will not interrupt the links, the limo downtown just out of a whim. So I mean, not a whim, but we have to. I understand we have to do something with the rates that are being paid right now, but it's a necessary evil. It's something that we need there. So agreeing with both, but understanding that transportation has always been and will continue to be a non-very sustainable type of system. We have to do what we have to do. So
we've never contemplated that it's going to pay for itself. We don't charge anything.
Exactly.
So it's whatever the cost of operating the system. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about having more mobility. We can't be talking about taking away options for mobility when we're out pushing a sales tax that wants to give more options in terms of mobility. Right. Okay, Commissioner Sheehan, you haven't had a turn.
Thank you, Mayor. There we go. Okay. It may be that it costs more because the headway is more reliable. That might be part of the issue. That's one of the one bus routes you can count on to actually show up when they're expected. I had my own bus shelter fiasco with Link, so I mean, believe me, I funded through my CIP a lot of bus shelters that got whittled down to a few, and then they never lit up like they were supposed to. So yeah, there is a problem. They're not responsive like they should be. I mean, Tanya, I think I want to say it was $70,000. They promised me 7, I got 3, and they still don't work. So again, you know, they need to be more responsive in terms of working with us. So I mean, I've had a bad taste in my mouth about some of the issues, but again, I don't think it's good to take away one of the few reliable headway, you know, one of the few reliable bus routes that we actually have that we can use that people can use to get around downtown. So I'm not in favor of cutting the funding, because the one thing is, again, we don't have dedicated funding sources except for the money that we put in the city of Orlando. And I don't want to be, I think it is counterintuitive to be cutting funding when we're going into a referendum, absolutely. But I do think that Commissioner Gray's concerns are valid, as well as Commissioner Hill's, and I think we can do that without, you know, throwing the baby out with the bathwater and just cutting their funding. And that's all I had, Mayor. Thank you.
Thanks. Tanya.
Mayor, if I could just, first of all, say thank you. Commissioner Gray, we heard you and we agree. And so we're stepping up now to hold Links responsible and accountable. And it takes a partnership with the CERA and with the Transportation Department. And as we showed you all in our presentation, you know, private investment follows public investment. And as we heard Mayor Deming speak this morning about TOD, we think that is an added benefit. Just look at Creative Village and what that brought. So just want to add those parting thoughts and really would appreciate your support.
Well, let's just clarify that you agree we need more information.
Yes.
We don't need to do 6 months. We need to do 2 years.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, so there's a main motion by Commissioner Hill. There's an amendment to that motion by Commissioner Gray. Commissioner Hill's motion is on the staff recommendation, Commissioner Gray's motion would limit that staff recommendation to 6 months. So we'll vote on Commissioner Gray's proposed amendment. If you just want to do 6 months, all in favor of that indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No?
No.
Okay, so the amendment is defeated, and we're back on Commissioner Hill's main motion on the staff recommendation. All in favor indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed?
No.
Okay, so it's 5-2. Okay, Walter, is there further business to come before the CRA?
No, sir. Thank you.
And if there's no objection, we will adjourn the CRA meeting, and we will convene the city council meeting, and that brings us to hearings, ordinances, second reading, number 1. Madam Clerk, you're on.
Ordinance number 2022-14, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida relating to home occupations, amending Chapter 58, Part 5B7 of the Land Development Code to revise the city's home occupation regulations, amending Chapter 65, Section 65.463 of the Land Development Code to delete the certificate of use exemption for home occupations, providing legislative findings and for codification, correction of scrivener's error, severability, and an effective date.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Burns. Madam Clerk, any testimony?
No speakers, Mayor.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Ordinances on first reading, number 1.
Ordinance number 2022-17, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending Chapter 39 of the City Code to reflect change in management of parking facility from Orlando Venues to Parking Division, providing legislative findings and for severability, codification, correction of scrivener's error, and an effective date.
Motion approved.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Madam Clerk,
No speakers, Mayor.
discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 2.
Ordinance number 2022-18, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the Orlando Health Plan Development Zoning Ordinance to add approximately 6.6 acres of land to the Plan Development Zoning District, such land being generally located north of Cayley Street, south of Gore Street, and west of South Orange Avenue, providing a conforming legal description, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, and an effective date.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. Madam Clerk,
No speakers, Mayor.
discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 3.
Ordinance number 2022-19, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida relating to digital billboards, amending Chapter 64, Part 3, Section 64.271 and 64.277 of the Land Development Code to revise the separation requirements for digital billboards and to update the incentive billboard list, providing legislative findings and for codification, correction of scrivener's error, severability, and an effective date.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Hill. Jason, we have some testimony on this. Could you come up and just give us a quick overview? We had an appeal related to this that we decided at the last council meeting, and then staff brought the ordinance forward based on the action of the council at the appeal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to summarize this first reading of this ordinance, changes our digital billboard exchange program. It reduces the required separation to establish a digital billboard on an existing billboard site, reduces it from 1,500 feet between any said billboards to 1,000, and then eliminates the distance separation across limited access roadways like an expressway or freeway, updates the incentive billboard list, that's the 3-to-1 incentive billboard list for trades to include the Curry Ford and West Lakes Main Street areas, and then provides a conditional use permit process to relocate digital billboards to facilitate redevelopment. And that's a summary of the proposed amendments.
Thank you. Okay, we had a motion second. Madam Clerk, I'd have 3 requests. Is that what we have in terms of testimony? Okay, number 1 is Rosemary Huffman via Zoom.
Yes.
We
Yes.
can hear you, Ms. Huffman.
I'm here. Do you hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
Wonderful. Good afternoon. I am Rosemary Huffman for Colonial LLC. I'm not seeing you folks. Are we connected?
We can hear you just fine.
Okay. My address is 3100 East Colonial in Orlando. Thank you, Mayor Dyer, commissioners, and staff for the opportunity to speak to the amendment of Ordinance 2022-19. This amendment will have a significant impact on the way digital billboards are swapped for static billboards in the future, especially in Main Street areas of which my property is a part. The Main Street program has been and will continue to be a huge success. This amendment can further that success and strengthen the character of our main streets by following the precedent of not permitting digital billboards in those protected Main Street areas. I am here today to offer an alternative solution that will allow for both a reduction in billboards across the city, which is a worthy goal, and while at the same time protecting Orlando's main streets. The solution is to protect all Main Street areas by adding language to this ordinance to prohibit digital billboards in all Main Street areas. This idea is consistent with the current practice of putting no digital billboards in Main Street areas, and the staff has said they don't belong in Main Street areas. This would allow all Main Street areas the same equitable and consistent sign regulations, and it would be consistent with the growth management plan for Main Street areas. The solution we have outlined should work well for all parties and be a win-win. Outside of the Main Street areas, planning would have the opportunity to reduce separation of digital billboards to 1,000 feet. And we are not requesting that the static billboard at 3112 East Colonial Drive be taken out of the digital exchange program, just that it be added to the incentive list for exchange. The idea to add this billboard to the incentive list was raised in the last council meeting by Commissioner Stewart, and we think now is an appropriate time for it to be added while the ordinance is being amended. I see that this amendment would add 4 more static billboards to this incentive list, but why not add all of the Main Street static billboards to get them off of Main Streets in a further show of equity and consistency? Lastly, in reply to the concerns of the council regarding participation of affected parties and citizens, we did not learn of these proposed amendments until the last minute. We only had 4 days over a weekend before the Municipal Planning Board meeting, and we agree that there should be more civic engagement if adjacent landowners were directly notified of these proposed changes. In that regard, we would like the council to establish a courtesy notice program to adjacent landowners regarding ordinance amendments and sign permit applications. Thank you. I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Huffman. Christopher Turner.
Good afternoon, City Council. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you, sir. My name is Christopher Turner. I represent Colonial LLC. I was before the council at the last meeting on February 21st. I don't have anything to add other than what Ms. Huffman already stated, other than reiterating the request that this digital billboard at Colonial and McGuire be added to the incentive list, which was, again, raised by Commissioner Stewart. And I've discussed the matter with Jason Burton in the weeks since February 21st, and I don't know that the city planning necessarily has any objection to it, but that request, it's my understanding, has to come from the city council itself. So that's what we are asking the city council to do at this time.
Okay, thank you. Lee Beekman.
I'm here representing Outfront Media. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. We have 2 signs that we operate on Colonial Drive that we would actually like the board and request the board to identify on the incentive list. I have been in touch with Mr. Burton and Commissioner Sheehan on this. The addresses are 2021 East Colonial and 1638 East Colonial. So we'd like to respectfully request that those be added to the incentive list program. Thanks.
Commissioner Stewart?
We want to go into a discussion now?
Yep.
All right, let me just share a couple of things. The issue about adding billboard was not raised by me. It was raised actually by Ms. Huffman at the last meeting. It was one of the alternatives we discussed as one of the things she thought would be a fair alternative. I've asked our staff to look at that option. I am uncomfortable having a location where people can just kind of come in and arbitrarily decide that they're going to pick a billboard and we're going to approve it or not. That, to me, that just doesn't make any sense. Because it's not fair to the constituency in our community. So, Mayor, I'm in favor of moving forward with this. Although I would ask, I think I've talked with our staff, I would ask to have them kind of go back and look at how we treat our main streets and the areas we treat our main streets. And is there a defined core of our main streets in which digital billboards and billboards there could be taken advantage of, and bring that back through Municipal Planning Board and let Municipal Planning Board have an opportunity to look at that. While we talked about the option that we could, as a council, add a particular billboard to a location, that was an alternative solution. It's not a fair way to treat this, because what we're basically saying is, let's stop the process now and let's now survey every billboard in every part of the city and ask them if they want to be part of the same thing. And that's unfortunate. We should not do that. We ought to do it for a particular purpose and for a particular reason. So I'd like to move forward on this, but I'd like to ask our staff to kind of go back and look at how we're treating these core areas of not the entire Main Street area, but the core area of our main streets and billboards, and see if they can come up with a consistent recommendation back to this council. If that's okay with you, Mayor.
Yep. Commissioner Sheehan?
And also, while I may express my support for billboard removal along the corridor, I think that has to go through the proper channels, and I don't think this is the appropriate channels. I think working with staff is the appropriate way to deal with this. And staff may check with me, but that doesn't mean I want to add it to an ordinance. So I think that might be a little cart before the horse situation. But something I am concerned about and I supported getting these out of the main streets because the billboards were competing with small businesses. But along the major arterials, a lot of those are large chains and things like that, so it's a little bit different along the major arterials. So, and I think that billboards are appropriate on major arterials and, interstates and things like that. As much as I hate them and have called them letter on a stick, no offense out front, but, I'm not a big fan, and y'all know that. So, but, I understand that they're appropriate somewhere. So, I think passing this today, we can go ahead and then talk about some of the other exchanges and let staff do their very good work. And while I understand there might be some concerns about specific billboards, going to it through an overall ordinance is not the appropriate channel. So that's all I had, Mayor. Thank you.
Jason? I agree with that sentiment that we ought to look and see if there are other areas we want to incentivize or not, but categorize. I don't want to go one by one as the city council deciding
Certainly,
which of the locations.
When we first did the incentive billboard list, generally we looked at the Main Street areas, but looked at those locations that were close to residential uses, which residential uses are the primary use that is incompatible with billboards. We can look at a more expansive potential criteria if you'd like. And
do you feel like you have enough direction from the comments that you received today?
I'm hearing everyone on the council, and certainly we'll take something back to MPB with some specific expanded criteria for you to consider potentially.
Okay, fantastic. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 4.
Ordinance number 2022-20, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the land development regulations of the Garden Plan Development to add 2 parcels to the plan development and to provide a new site plan for a multifamily development for certain land generally located west of North Orange Blossom Trail between West Amelia Street and West Robinson Street, and comprised of 20.8 acres of land, providing for amendment of the city's official zoning maps, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Madam Clerk, any testimony?
No speakers, Mayor.
No speakers, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. And number 5.
Ordinance number 2022-21, an ordinance of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the Plan Development Zoning District regulations for the Lake Nona Plan Development generally located north of the Orange-Osceola County line, south of Dowden Road, east of Boggy Creek Road, and west of Narcoossee Road, and comprised of 9,044.20 acres more or less, amending the Plan Development District's maximum height limit for parcel 22B, directing amendment of the official zoning map series, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Madam Clerk, any testimony?
No speakers, Mayor.
Commissioner Gray, were you cranky today just because you only have one ordinance?
That's
Usually
it,
you
sir.
have 4 or 5. So.
Got to share. Got to share.
Okay. Discussion, hearing none. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, that concludes the official business of the Orlando City Council for today, Pi Day.